I spent time with wealthy women, women with successful feminine businesses, and I was able to grow my brand, make more money in my business, and create my dream life. That's because I learned that women who set themselves apart, the top 1% of women, they have a different set of rules. And I'm going to share with you the 7 habits of top 1% women. The first habit of top 1% women is to be a pioneer. The Bible says, as you go step by step, I will open up the way before you. I was the first person in my family to have 2 degrees, to have a senior leadership role in my career. I was the first person in my friendship group to buy my house, to start creating content, and to start my business. Most people let the fact that no one has done it before be the reason they don't turn their dreams into reality. They're limited by their environment and the people around them, which makes them dim their own light because of their fear of being a pioneer. The reality is, no matter what you do, people are going to judge you. They're going to look at you crazy, or they will even discourage you. But your calling is yours alone to answer. So if you want to be successful, if you want to create your dream life, you have to take the first step. You have to take the aligned action. Part of being a successful woman means having the audacity to position yourself to enter certain rooms and to receive those opportunities. Be the first to buy a house, to move abroad, to have a healthy marriage, to be a millionaire. The reason why you haven't seen it done before is because you're supposed to be the first. The next habit of top 1% women is to expose yourself to new challenges. I'm a recovering type A who love things to be planned out, things to be the same, things to be consistent. That meant that I was always stuck in my own way of thinking, in my own way of doing things. I was stagnant. I wasn't growing. I wasn't reaching new heights in my business. Every so often, when I start to feel stagnant in my personal life, with my content, in my business, I know that's because there's been repetition for a prolonged period of time. I have to shake things up, come up with new ideas, do things that will make me feel creative, surround myself with people or things that will inspire me to think outside the box, to stretch myself creatively and birth something new. And I started making changes to my offers, my marketing and sales strategy, my branding, my content. That's when I started attracting a wider audience and high value clients. You have to tap into your feminine creativity of thinking outside the box, of being playful, coming up with new ideas, new ways of doing things, because this allows you to stretch yourself, to grow and reach new levels. The next habit of top 1% women is clapping for others. I believe that jealousy is a normal emotion. It just means that you want something that somebody else has, but it's what you do with that jealousy. When I see somebody who's achieved a milestone, accomplished something, or has opportunities that I want, I celebrate them because it is their season, regardless of whether they've put in the work or the opportunities just fell into their lap. I use that jealousy of wanting that milestone, that opportunity, that breakthrough, fuel me to continue and to take the aligned action. Them receiving this breakthrough and entering their winning season is evidence for me that it's possible, that my breakthrough and winning season are coming. If you're the most successful person in the room, you're doing something wrong. You're not stretching yourself, you're not learning, you're not growing. You need to surround yourself with successful people who are doing better than you, but understand the cost that comes from being surrounded by successful people. If you allow your jealousy to consume you, that's when you have imposter syndrome, procrastination, perfectionism, comparing yourself with other people, or even trying to imitate what they're doing. Clapping for other people keeps you in a state of abundance, and you're able to look at their path to success objectively and learn from them. The next habit of top 1% women is delegating. There was a time when I was in a constant toxic productive cycle. I would hustle and grind for a few months and then I'll burn out. This was as a new mom, a businesswoman, a content creator, while trying to live life. I realized that I was operating my business in a masculine way that wasn't conducive to me as a woman, and that if I wanted to be successful in my business, I had to bring in my feminine essence, which meant that I had to surrender control and realize that I couldn't do everything on my own. So I put my daughter into childcare. I got a hairstylist, I got a cleaner, extended the time that my daughter spent with her dad, which freed up the time for me to work on my business and content content, not from a place of survival, but from a place of alignment. Successful women don't have their hands in every pot. They outsource their lives. They have drivers, they have chefs, they have cleaners, they have makeup artists, stylists, they have assistants, they have accountants, they have lawyers, so they can focus on money generating activities and things that they genuinely love to do. And obviously the idea is not to put yourself in debt just to outsource, because they have the resources to have that help. But the question that I ask myself when I'm outsourcing is, what's more expensive, the money or time that I'm spending? It's not just about creating time to do more work, but having the time to rest, having the time to indulge in the things that you enjoy, because that's what life is about. The next habit of top 1% women is taking inventory. There was times when I would be talking to specific friends or when I was in previous relationships, and I noticed that I was constantly drained because I was constantly pouring outward and not being poured into, until I started taking inventory of my friendships and my relationship to ask, is this serving me, or am I the only one that's serving? Feminine energy is currency. It is in our nature as women to serve, to pour into others. It's just second nature. Sometimes we waste feminine energy on other people, on situations, when we could be pouring into ourselves, into our goals, into our dreams. So you have to become expensive, where people have to go through barriers, jump through hoops in order to have access to you. When you are low-hanging fruit and you're constantly available, constantly accessible, the people who see the value in you will leech onto you and will constantly drain you. Surround yourself with people who pour back into you, people who are not just taking but are also giving. The next habit of top 1% women is to pour into yourself. This is a non-negotiable for successful women because they understand the value of it. I used to think that working hard equals success. For years I was hustling, grinding, working hard, but my brand wasn't growing and I wasn't making any money in my business. What rich women won't tell you is that it's not about how hard you work. No, rich women are in Monaco on a yacht sipping on some champagne. I learned the hard way that success for women is a combination of your vision, your image, walking in your servitude, alignment, and soft productivity. I'm going to do a whole video on soft productivity, but part of soft productivity is pouring into yourself. The Bible says, and on the seventh day he rested. You have to create a standard for yourself where you're intentional about looking after yourself. Whether you're sleeping, whether you're watching Netflix and doing nothing, or whether you take yourself for a massage, whether you take yourself out on a solo date to the cinema, whether you go on a date with your partner, whether you go for brunch and drinks with your friends, whatever self-care looks like to you, you have to care for yourself, because self-care is self-love. When you're rested, when you're rejuvenated, when you feel good about yourself, it makes you more motivated, it makes you more productive, it removes you from autopilot and you start looking at things in a more abundant way where you're solution focused instead of problem focused. The message here is, if you want to be part of the top 1% of women, if you want to set yourself apart from the rest, you have to have a different set of rules and you have to embody successful women. Like this video if you want to see more videos on femininity and abundance. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time that I upload a video, and I will see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye lovelies.